and welcome to the TVWAN News Update. I'm Jasmine Irujak. The PNG government and partners in the Pyongyang gas project, ExxonMobil, Santos and JX Nippon, have signed the Pyongyang LNG project fiscal stability agreement, marking a significant milestone for this project. This agreement follows the Pyongyang LNG project gas agreement signed in 2022, which positioned the project as a potential third LNG export venture for PNG. Prime Minister James Marape hailed the agreement, emphasizing its role in fostering economic growth and extending the development window for major LNG projects. The project, set to commence post the Papua LNG project, aims to construct new upstream facilities in Western Province. With an estimated gas reserves of 4.36 trillion cubic feet, the project underscores PNG's commitment to strategic partnerships and economic prosperity. In Papua New Guinea's remote telefarming district, rugged terrain and lack of infrastructure pose barriers to healthcare. But a partnership between provincial health providers, MAF, and the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade has helped overcome these challenges. Ephraim Urunok, a community health worker at the Telefarming District Hospital, explains the impracticality of reaching these villages by foot and explains the dependence on MAF for health patrols in the mountainous terrain. Since the start of the partnership between MAF and New Zealand Aid about 2 years ago, MAF transported about 1,300 health professionals, providing almost 500 flights to bring help, hope, and healing to places where healthcare is otherwise barely existent.
So Midday using MAF tason osem only route or only transport do Midday long make him over the display work in the telephone industry. Fear and been closed for 6 to 7 years. Extremely close. So all as place long hub only looking was service long hub and hard long also all work hard through long cleaning like strip na balus and put down na Midday go down. Na Midday talking more of good place you blow him like strip by service by come inside.
A group of 20 officers from the Royal PNG Constabulary and the Public Prosecutor Office have gained vital skills in investigating online financial crime following a 2-week course on financial crime investigation. Participants acquired skills in investigating crimes connected to scams. These include the use of appropriate tools to investigate of scams and identify scammers. Participants were grateful for the opportunity, something new added to the investigative skills, and say they are now better placed to investigate online scams. New Ireland police have reported 2 gruesome killings at Sikakui village in West Coast, New Ireland. It was reported that at 9 a.m. on Thursday, March the 7th, a multiple murder suspect from Lavongai, armed with a spear and bush knife, approached a house belonging to Jerry Stephen and his wife Marilyn. The suspect, identified as Tien Toi Liu, alleged killed Jerry in cold blood. The reason behind his act is yet to be determined. Locals at the Sikakui oil palm plantation formed a group, pursued the suspect and killed him when he tried to fight back with the mob. Police recovered 2 bodies when they arrived at the scene. Turning overseas, 20,000 people are expected to be granted refugee status in Australia this year, and many will be highly skilled. But finding work in their chosen profession may be a struggle. Advocates say the current process of recognizing overseas qualifications isn't working and can leave refugees and asylum seekers without meaningful work.
This is from my clinic in Syria. Only this one I have from my clinic.
These are Akram Odisha's most treasured possessions and a painful reminder of the life he left behind.
Very, very sad. I feel very sad because I worked for this for many years.
The GP ran a clinic in northeastern Syria for more than 2 decades, until the arrival of ISIS forced his family to seek refuge in Australia. But the 62-year-old can't practice here and is employed as a part-time NDIS support worker while he works towards local medical accreditation, a process which could take years.
It's difficult for me because I worked for many years as a doctor.
It's not a new problem, highly skilled refugees working in menial jobs. But advocates say there's been very little progress on the issue.
We've all heard the stories of the brain surgeons driving taxis, and we actually see that quite a lot. So yeah, it is a serious problem.
Yemeni refugee Mohammed Hassan arrived in Australia with international qualifications in civil engineering, but was initially rejected by employers who wanted local experience.
I've been trying for almost 6 months to find any engineering job, but I couldn't.
Mohammed eventually won a place in a Victorian Government engineering cadetship program for refugees.
There was a whole group of talent out there. They had the skills, they had the abilities, they wanted to work, and we just needed to create that bridge to get them into the jobs.
Advocates want more industry-specific programs targeting highly skilled refugees and asylum seekers who are already here. They say current processes can be complex, time-consuming and expensive, with an element of gatekeeping by some industry bodies.
When you have an industry that's regulating entry into that and there's no oversight of what that entry requirements look like, you can come up with all sorts of reasons to keep people out.
The federal government did not respond to the ABC's questions about how accreditation processes can be improved.
There are fresh warnings Australia is facing a skills shortage in the aviation industry. Thousands of workers, from baggage handlers to engineers, lost their jobs during the pandemic, and many haven't returned.
It's never a dull day on the job in this workshop. These apprentices work for Boeing Australia, keeping defence aircraft in the sky.
As an avionics apprentice, I inspect, test, troubleshoot electrical and electronic components, as well as remove and install under supervision of a qualified tradesman.
It's a pretty niche industry, particularly defence aviation and wedgetail as a whole. There's only 6 wedgetails in Australia and only a few more across the world.
Boeing Australia has doubled its intake of apprentices in the past year, and it says demand is only growing.
You're on training, you're constantly learning, but at the same time you're also earning income, and to me that's just a win-win.
It's a different story for commercial aviation. The industry is grappling with a skill shortage. Since the pandemic, an estimated 25,000 people have left. Many haven't returned.
It's very dire now because there's a great demand for skills, not least digital skills. There was migration stopped during the pandemic years, which exacerbated the skill shortages.
A Senate inquiry has since recommended an independent body be created with the power to enforce binding labour standards.
As far as we know, Qantas does not support an independent aviation body. What it supports is a body that gives it more power in aviation to make its own decisions.
Experts say aviation companies need to find innovative ways to recruit and retain staff.
Aviation employers do need to be more innovative
to meet the skill shortage head on.
A highly anticipated review into Olympic infrastructure for the Brisbane 2032 Games has recommended a new multi-billion-dollar stadium should be built at Victoria Park. The controversial Gabba redevelopment, which is now expected to cost $3 billion, has also been axed.
After several false starts, the Premier is hitting reset on the 2032 Games.
Suncorp Stadium will become our Olympic stadium.
Stephen Miles put forward his government's alternative plan, ditching a key recommendation of the review headed by former Lord Mayor Graham Quirk for a multi-billion-dollar stadium at Victoria Park.
When Queenslanders are struggling with housing and other costs, I cannot justify to them spending $3.4 billion on a new stadium.
Every one of our recommendations has had a logic behind it. It's had findings to support it, and we believe it presents the best value for money.
The Victoria Park proposal didn't go down well with locals.
It should never, ever have been mooted, and I don't know what the panel were thinking of, really.
Or politicians.
My advice to the Premier, thank Graham and his committee with this report and put it straight in the bin.
A brain fart from this review to bowl up a stadium even more expensive than the disastrous Gabba demolition.
The state government says the plan to upgrade Lang Park, Cusack and the Gabba at a cost of $2.7 billion is the best value for money.
This decision will ensure the Games stays within its funding envelope.
Despite the Quirk review recommending against upgrading the athletics centre at Nathan.
To do a Cusack arrangement would cost around $1.6 billion with very little legacy.
While the Premier previously vowed to adopt the recommendations of the Quirk review, he also conceded work on the alternative plan began weeks ago, following the bruising by-election result at the weekend, where cost of living was a main concern for voters. It would have been politically damaging for Stephen Miles to back the Victoria Park proposal.
The opposition doesn't support any proposals and instead wants an independent body to review and make a call on the Olympic venues.
We have to end this madness. We have to end the chaos and confusion, and we need grown-ups in charge to be able to do it.
The state government accepted most of the review's other recommendations, including scrapping the controversial Gabba demolition project.
We have been advocating for this for 3 years. Our community has been under such anxiety and stress.
But the future of East Brisbane State School remains uncertain.
It's not totally clear whether the school will stay or go, but staying is definitely on the table.
And in sports, Special Olympics Papua New Guinea for the first time hosted a call to volunteers training for new youths. The idea was to pair up a youth without a disability with a youth with disability and do the volunteer training session together on how to be volunteers in any SOPNG activities.
The Call to Volunteers training was a first-of-its-kind initiative for Special Olympics Papua New Guinea. Special Olympics PNG invited new youths with and without intellectual disabilities under the Youth Activation Program through social media towards the end of 2023. The aim of the program is to pair up a new youth without a disability with a youth with a disability. The Team Up and Volunteer for Special Olympics programs conducted during the year. The pair will attend 4 training sessions before volunteering at any Special Olympic PNG program activities. 9 youths with intellectual disability and 9 youths without a disability participated in the first session at the University of Papua New Guinea over the weekend. Sessions topics like Introduction to Special Olympics Program, what it means to volunteer with athletes with intellectual disability and what is expected of the volunteers, as well as other aspects of volunteering. Special Olympics PNG expressed its gratitude to Special Olympics Asia Pacific, the University of Papua New Guinea, parents, guardians, families and teachers from Cheshire Disability Service and Cullen Inclusive Education Resource Centre for making this training possible. Rex Litter, TVWAN Sports.
And that's been our news update for today. Join us for more news and sports at 6 p.m.